Ethan Caldwell, once a graphic designer living among vibrant colors, now retired early and seeking tranquility in Palm Haven, a suburban town nestled by a shimmering lake in Florida. My two-story Craftsman house, painted vivid lemon yellow with blue trim, stands bold like a flame among the neighborhood's pale beige and gray homes. It's not just where I live. It's a memory of Sophie, my late wife, who left but loved colors as fiercely as she loved life. Every time I see those yellow walls, it's as if she's standing there, smiling and whispering, "Let this house tell our story, Ethan." Palm Haven, on peaceful mornings, is a perfect suburban painting. The lake quietly reflects the early sunlight, mist curls around the palm trees, and only the chirping of sparrows blends with the gentle lapping of distant waves. I start my day with a hot cup of coffee, stepping onto the front porch, ready to feed the ducks and maybe repaint the old swing chair. Today, the air is cool, carrying the scent of sea salt mixed with freshly cut grass. The lake is calm, with only the sound of birds and the faint hum of a boat's engine in the distance. I was just holding my coffee, about to watch the fish glimmer beneath the water's surface, when my eyes caught a white envelope taped to the front door. The sharp, handwritten text, "No need to look twice," belongs to Vanessa Holt, the HOA president who fancies herself the queen of the neighborhood. Vanessa, with her dyed golden hair, sunglasses pricier than my pickup truck, and a clipboard she wields like a weapon, is Palm Haven's nightmare. She'll fine you for leaving your trash bin out an hour too long or send a warning letter if your flower pot is not up to standard. I've seen her torment Eleanor and Walter Hayes, an elderly couple a few houses down, just for hanging a Christmas wreath deemed too garish. Vanessa is the kind of person who makes the whole neighborhood wary, with her catchphrase, "per HOA policy." I've dodged her emails, newsletters, and surprise inspections for months. But now, she's gone too far.
Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest video.
I tore open the envelope, and as expected, a letter printed on HOA logoed paper appeared, with bold text, "The color of the house at 42, Lakeview Drive violates Aesthetic Regulation 5.1. Please repaint using the approved color palette within 7 days, or face a $500 fine." I stood frozen, my coffee mug nearly slipping from my hand. Weeks ago, I'd warned Vanessa via email that my house wasn't community property for her to dictate. Now, standing on the porch, staring at the vibrant lemon yellow walls under the sun, I couldn't help but mutter, "I told you so." Sipping my coffee, its bitterness sliding down my throat, I thought of Sophie. She'd chosen this color after our South America trip, where vibrant parrots soaring through the jungle made her laugh radiantly. Repainting the house to Vanessa's whim would erase Sophie, erase the days we dreamed of a colorful home together. I looked at the letter, then at the house, and an idea sparked. Vanessa wanted to play power games? Fine. But she didn't know I wasn't the type to bow to a clipboard. I went inside, set my coffee down, and started planning not just to save my house, but to make Vanessa regret crossing me. Anger boiled in me like coffee on a stove, but I forced myself to stay calm. Vanessa Holt's letter wasn't just a warning. It was a slap to Sophie's memory, to the home we'd built together. I stuffed the letter in my pocket, grabbed my car keys, and drove straight to Vanessa's house, a beige mansion at the end of Lakeview Drive, with a gleaming Palm Haven HOA sign in the yard like a self-awarded medal. If Vanessa thought she could force me to repaint with a scrap of paper and a bossy tone, she'd picked the wrong guy. Vanessa's house looked cut from a suburban magazine, a lawn without a single weed, sparkling windows, and a plastic wreath on the door, perfectly HOA approved. I knocked, and Vanessa appeared, sunglasses perched on her head, her garish floral shirt ironically clashing with her aesthetic guardian role. "Ethan," she said, a fake smile spreading, "I assume you're here about the letter. Don't worry, we'll sort this out quickly." "Sort it out?" I snapped, holding up the letter. "Vanessa, this is my house, my private property. The color doesn't violate any legal regulation. You have no right to force me to repaint." Vanessa crossed her arms, her gaze sliding over me like I was a kid interrupting her lunch break. "Ethan, your house is too loud. It lowers the neighborhood's value. Per HOA policy, we can require changes to protect community aesthetics." I laughed, not from amusement, but at her audacity. "Community aesthetics? You find Eleanor Hayes for her rose planter, Vanessa. This isn't about protecting the neighborhood, it's personal control." She didn't flinch, pulling a hastily printed sheet from her clipboard and waving it like a royal decree. "I have the HOA board's approval," she said, handing me the paper. I glanced at it. A notice on plain paper, no signatures, no seal, just a list of permitted colors with beige and light gray underlined. "This isn't a legal permit," I said, folding it and handing it back. "You can't force me to repaint without authority. This is private property invasion." Vanessa's smile soured, but only for a moment. "Ethan, don't make this difficult. This affects the whole neighborhood, not just you. Think how a beige house would fit Palm Haven, how nice the photos would look." She spoke like a real estate agent. I shook my head. "No. Withdraw the letter, Vanessa. Now." But before I could finish, she turned away, calling loudly to her assistant sorting papers in the yard. "Marge, add 42 to next week's inspection list." She ignored me, as if I were an invisible tree. I stood there, stunned, watching Vanessa direct Marge on her neighborhood improvement plan. Neighbors started appearing, some pausing curiously, whispering about the yellow house. Vanessa had crossed a line, not just with me but with the very idea of ownership. I took a deep breath, returned to my car, and said nothing more. I'd warned her once, and that was all I owed. In my mind, a plan began forming, not just to keep my lemon yellow house, but to make Vanessa pay for her arrogance. In my car, I glanced back at her mansion and muttered, "You want to play, Vanessa? Fine, but I'll play my way." I hit the gas, drove home, knowing this was just the start of a battle I had no intention of losing. The anger from my confrontation with Vanessa Holt still simmered as I drove home, the setting sun gilding Lakeview Drive. My house, with its radiant lemon yellow walls, stood as a reminder of Sophie and what I was determined to protect. Vanessa didn't just want to paint my house a dull beige. She wanted to erase my memories, freedom, and individuality. But if she thought I'd meekly grab a brush and comply, she was wrong. I'd warned her, and now I'd fight back, not just to keep the color, but to ensure Palm Haven never forgot. On the front porch, sipping my now cold coffee, I thought of Sophie. She'd hung a vibrant parrot painting in our living room, inspired by our South America trip, where red, green, and yellow parrots soaring through the jungle made her laugh brightly. "Color is how we live, Ethan," she'd said. An idea flashed like sunlight through clouds. I wouldn't just keep the lemon yellow. I'd turn the house into a giant parrot mural, bolder than any HOA rule. It would be art, legal, but enough to drive Vanessa insane. I smiled, for the first time that day, and muttered, "You want aesthetics, Vanessa? I'll give you aesthetics." But to make this real, I needed an ally. I wasn't a painter, just a color-loving guy with some graphic design skills. I needed an expert. I remembered Luna Navarro, a young street artist I'd met at a Palm Haven art fair. She was known for bold murals, once turning a shop's gray wall into a vibrant blue ocean. I found Luna's number through a mutual friend and called. "Luna, it's Ethan Caldwell from Lakeview Drive. I've got a crazy idea for my house. You free?" Luna arrived the next morning, in a paint-splattered tee and her hair tied high. She stood before the house, hands on hips, eyes gleaming. "What do you want to do with this, Jim?" she asked, pointing at the lemon yellow wall. I told her about Vanessa, the HOA letter, and the parrot idea. "I want this house to be a giant parrot. Red, green, yellow, blue, 3D effect, everything. But it has to comply with HOA rules, so she can't touch it." Luna laughed, her chuckle ringing like bells. "You're my kind of people, Mr. Ethan. Vanessa once tried to fine me for park graffiti. I'm in." We sat on the porch, spreading paper on the table, sketching ideas. Luna suggested a red parrot's wings stretching across both walls, a sharp yellow beak over the window, and a blue tail curling down the eaves. She talked about HOA-approved waterproof paint, color blending for 3D effects, and renting scaffolding. I pulled out my laptop, checking the HOA regulations Vanessa always bragged about. After an hour, I found the loophole. The rules only restricted paint type and durability, not artistic designs or specific colors. "She dug her own grave," I said, tapping the table. Luna nodded. "We'll make this house a masterpiece she can't touch." Luna left, promising to return by the weekend with her crew. I stood before the house, picturing the giant parrot taking shape, and felt like Sophie was smiling somewhere. Vanessa had gone too far, and I wouldn't just defend my house, I'd make it a symbol. But I knew Vanessa wouldn't sit still. She'd return with her clipboard, new finds, or the entire HOA board if needed. I didn't care. I'd warned her once, and now I had a plan. I sipped my coffee, watching sunlight glint on the lake, and muttered, "Just wait, Vanessa. The game's just begun." The idea of turning my house into a giant parrot lit a fire in me, and with Luna Navarro, I was ready to make it real. The next morning, Luna arrived with a truck full of paint cans, foldable scaffolding, and two friends, Diego and Sam, both street artists with neon-dyed hair. Ready to turn Palm Haven into a museum, Mr. Ethan? Luna asked, her smile mischievous. I smirked, pointing at the lemon-yellow wall. Show Vanessa Holt what real aesthetics look like. We got to work, and I knew this was the first step to making Vanessa swallow her arrogance. We set up scaffolding, spread tarps over the lawn, and opened paint cans, vivid red for the parrot's wings, green for its chest, deep yellow for the beak, and blue for the tail. Luna sketched the design on the wall with chalk, the parrot's wings curving over the second-story windows, the sharp beak jutting from the front door frame. I grabbed a brush, clumsily spilling some red paint on the grass, making Diego laugh. Mr. Ethan, leave the art to us. Just keep the coffee coming. I grinned but kept painting a corner of the wing, feeling like I was recreating the day's Sophie, and I painted our fence amid laughter. By evening, the front wall showed the parrot's shape, glowing under the garden lights, as if ready to fly off from Palm Haven. Neighbors started noticing. Eleanor and Walter Hayes, the elderly couple once fined by Vanessa for their Christmas wreath, stopped by during their evening walk. Ethan, what's this? Eleanor asked, her eyes sparkling at the red paint. I told them about Vanessa's letter and the parrot plan. Walter chuckled, clapping my shoulder. I nearly lost my orchids to her feng shui nonsense. Go for it, Ethan. Teach her a lesson. But not everyone approved. Linda, from the gray house across the street, watched from afar, whispering to a friend that this house will tank the neighborhood's value. I shrugged. If they wanted to live in a sea of beige, that was their choice. I was painting my story. The next afternoon, as Luna painted the blue tail, Vanessa appeared, clipboard in hand, her gaze sharp as a blade. She marched across the lawn, heels clicking, snapping photos of the house like an amateur detective. Ethan, what do you think you're doing? She snapped, her voice shrill. You wanted aesthetics. I'm giving you aesthetics, I replied, gesturing to the emerging parrot. Vanessa glared, then turned to Luna. Young lady, you know this violates HOA rules, right? Luna, not looking up from her brush, replied coolly. I see Mr. Ethan's got waterproof paint permits here. Want to check? I showed Vanessa the paint receipts and city permit, all compliant. She snatched them, scanned them, and handed them back with a huff. This isn't over, Ethan. I'll call the building inspector. Vanessa stormed off, but I knew she wouldn't stop. She'd return with the HOA board, new fines, or even a lawyer if needed. I wasn't surprised. She crossed the line long ago, and now she didn't see lines anymore. Luna watched her go, then turned to me. She's a nightmare. But don't worry, Mr. Ethan, this parrot will keep her up at night. I smiled, but I knew the battle was just starting. I'd warned Vanessa, and she chose to ignore me. Now, I'd let the parrot speak for me. As Diego and Sam packed up the scaffolding for the day, I stood before the house, admiring the half-finished parrot under the sunset. It wasn't complete, but it was already stirring Palm Haven. I sipped my coffee, muttering, just wait, Vanessa. You'll wish you never sent that letter. I went inside, ready for what was coming, knowing this parrot wasn't just a mural, it was a declaration of war. The parrot on my house began taking shape, and with it, Vanessa Holt's anger erupted. I knew she wouldn't let it slide, not after Luna and I challenged her with vibrant paint cans right under her nose. But I didn't expect her to react so fast. Just 2 days after her clipboard visit, a new notice was taped to my door. Emergency HOA meeting at the Palm Haven Community Center, 7 p.m. Friday, to discuss aesthetic violations at 42 Lakeview Drive. Vanessa didn't just want to find me. She wanted the whole neighborhood behind her, turning my house into a public enemy. I folded the notice, smirking. Want to play big, Vanessa? Fine. I prepared for the meeting like going to battle. I printed my paint permit, waterproof paint receipts, and a copy of the HOA regulations, which didn't ban artistic designs. Luna, hearing about the meeting, laughed. She thinks she can scare you with a room full of polo shirts? I'll come cheer. I thanked her but told her to focus on the parrot. This was my fight, and I wanted to face Vanessa on her turf. On the porch, sipping coffee, I thought of Sophie. She'd love how I turned our house into a declaration of war, and that thought fueled me. Friday night, the Palm Haven Community Center was packed. Neighbors filled the chairs, from supporters like Eleanor and Walter Hayes, their eyes encouraging, to Linda and Vanessa's loyalists, whispering about property values. Vanessa stood at the podium, her blonde hair gleaming under the lights, clipboard before her like a shield. Thank you all for coming, she began, her voice sweet but icy. We're here to address a serious issue, the house at 42 Lakeview Drive, with its colors and drawings causing community discord. She emphasized drawings like my parrot was a crime. I raised my hand, standing before she could call me. Vanessa, you talk about unity, but you're trying to force me to repaint my private home. I have permits, compliant paint, and the HOA rules don't ban art. Where's your proof of this discord? The room buzzed. Vanessa glared, but quickly regained her fake smile. Ethan, this isn't just about you. That house harms Palm Haven's image. I've had complaints from multiple residents. She waved a paper, but I knew it was her old trick, a self-written list, no signatures. Raymond Torres, a retired firefighter on the HOA board, spoke up. Vanessa, I haven't seen any formal complaints filed. If Ethan has permits, you need solid evidence. The crowd nodded, and I saw a flicker of panic in Vanessa's eyes. But she pivoted fast. I'll have a building inspector check. If there's any violation, Ethan, you'll repaint. She ended the meeting, cutting off further debate. The next morning, as threatened, a building inspector named Mike Delgado showed up. Mike, a friend from the fishing club, stepped out of his truck, chuckling. Ethan, I bet Vanessa's behind this. I showed him the permits and walked him around the house. The Parrot was nearly half done, blazing red under the sun. Mike checked, nodded. Everything's legit. This house will be more famous than the shark statue at the beach. Say hi to Vanessa for me. He left, leaving me with a temporary win. But I knew Vanessa wouldn't quit. She started spreading rumors via the neighborhood chat, claiming my Parrot threatened property values. Some neighbors wavered, whispering at the grocery store about Palm Haven's stability. I wasn't shocked. Vanessa had long crossed the line, and now she was dragging the neighborhood into her game. On the porch, sipping coffee, I stared at the glowing Parrot. You haven't seen anything yet, Vanessa, I muttered. The battle was heating up, and I was ready for the next move. Vanessa Holt could rally the whole neighborhood against me, but the Parrot on my house was starting to squawk, and no one, not even her, could silence it. After the tense HOA meeting, Luna Navarro and I sped up. Each day, my house grew more alive. Red wings stretched across the walls, a sharp yellow beak jutted from the window, and a blue tail curled down the eaves like a river. Vanessa could bring inspectors, but I had permits, and this Parrot was the perfect answer to her fine letters. I knew she was fuming, and that only made me want to push further. One morning, as Luna and her crew, Diego and Sam, finished the final details, the house became a masterpiece. Luna added 3D effects, making the Parrot look like it was flying, its black eyes glinting like a challenge to Palm Haven. I added some flair. A giant stuffed parrot hung from the eaves and outdoor speakers playing a craw. Parrot call every hour. Diego laughed until he cried. Mr. Ethan, you're a legend. Vanessa's gonna lose it. I shrugged, sipping coffee. She brought it on herself. The house wasn't just a mural, it was a statement, a reminder that Vanessa couldn't control everything. Neighbors flocked over. Eleanor and Walter Hayes brought a camera, snapping photos like the Parrot was Florida's new wonder. Ethan, this is the best thing the neighborhood's ever seen. Eleanor cheered. But Linda and Vanessa's loyalists stayed back, muttering about property stability. I didn't care. Then the unexpected happened. Luna posted a video of the Parrot on TikTok, captioned, When the HOA says your house is too loud, what do? Make it art. The video went viral. Within hours, thousands of views poured in, with comments like this house is the anti-HOA icon, or Vanessa's in trouble now. Some called it Palm Haven's rebel Parrot. I laughed reading them, thinking of Sophie. She'd love how her house became a focal point. The Parrot's fame didn't stop at social media. Tara Chin, a reporter from the Palm Haven Post, emailed me. Mr. Caldwell, I heard about your house. Can I interview you and take photos? I agreed, and the next morning, Tara arrived with a photographer. She circled the house, eyes gleaming. This isn't just a house, Mr. Ethan. It's a fight for personal freedom. I told her about Vanessa, the fine letter, and how I turned it into an opportunity. Tara's article, headlined The Rebel Parrot, A House Defies the HOA in Palm Haven, ran the next day. Tourists started showing up, snapping photos, some even signing my fence in support. Vanessa, predictably, couldn't take it. A new letter arrived, fining me $1,000 for disturbing public order. She threatened to sue, claiming the Parrot ruined the neighborhood's image. I read the letter on the porch, laughing so hard I nearly choked on my coffee. Disturbing? Vanessa, you haven't seen anything yet. I contacted Nadia Khan, a lawyer who once lived in Palm Haven and knew Vanessa's tricks. Nadia came over that afternoon, reviewing the letter and my permits. Vanessa's overstepped, she said, tapping her pen. She can't fine you arbitrarily like this. I'll draft a legal warning. Want to go further? I smirked. Send the letter first. Let her sweat. As Nadia left, I stood before the house, admiring the vibrant Parrot under the sunset. The craw from the speakers echoed, and a group of teens passing by cheered, raising their phones to record. Palm Haven was changing, and the Parrot was the catalyst. But I knew Vanessa wouldn't give up easily. She'd return with her clipboard, the HOA board, or an even dirtier plan. I'd warned her, and she chose to ignore me. Now, this Parrot wasn't just art, it was my flag. I sipped my coffee, muttering, "Bring it on, Vanessa. I'm ready for you." The giant Parrot on my house had become a banner against Vanessa Holt, and all of Palm Haven was buzzing about it. From Luna Navarro's TikTok video to Tara Chin's article, the house wasn't just art, it was a symbol of freedom Vanessa couldn't control. But I knew she wouldn't surrender easily. The $1,000 fine and lawsuit threat were just the start. Vanessa was planning a bigger strike, and so was I. With Nadia Khan, a sharp lawyer who once lived in the neighborhood, I was ready to turn the tables. On the porch, sipping coffee, I gazed at the radiant Parrot under the sunlight and muttered, "You want a war, Vanessa? Come and get it." Nadia sent a legal warning to Vanessa the next day, demanding she stop harassing me and retract the baseless fine. But Vanessa didn't respond with words, she acted. A new notice spread through the neighborhood chat. Second emergency HOA meeting, 7 p.m. Wednesday, to vote on forcing a repaint of 42, Lakeview Drive. She was going all in, trying to rally the neighborhood to crush me. I wasn't surprised. Vanessa had crossed the line long ago, and now she wanted to make me a public enemy. But she didn't know I held an ace up my sleeve. Eleanor Hayes, my supporter from the start, called as soon as she saw the notice. "Ethan, I got an email from someone on the HOA board. They don't want their name out. It's evidence against Vanessa." She sent me a leaked email chain between Vanessa and her close board allies. In it, Vanessa instructed them to skip procedure to find me, even suggesting cutting my home's Wi-Fi to disable my security cameras. Another email revealed she'd fabricated the resident complaints she flaunted at the last meeting all fake. I read it, barely believing my eyes. She really dug herself deep, I told Nadia over the phone. She laughed. "This is ammunition, Ethan. Bring it to the meeting. We'll make her fall on her own." Wednesday night, the Palm Haven Community Center was packed tighter than before. Neighbors crowded in, from Eleanor and Walter Hayes with eager eyes to Linda and Vanessa's faction looking tense. Vanessa stood at the podium, blonde hair gleaming, her voice sweet but icy. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "The house at 42, Lakeview Drive not only violates aesthetics but disrupts order. I propose a vote to force a repaint, for Palm Haven's sake." She glanced at me, her eyes daring me. I stood, raising my hand. "Before any vote, I have something to share." The room fell silent. I handed the projector to Raymond Torres, the ex-firefighter board member who'd questioned Vanessa before. I opened the leaked emails, zooming them on the screen. "These are Vanessa's emails, directing the board to skip procedure to find me. Here's her plan to cut my Wi-Fi. And this," I emphasized, "is the fake complaint list she wrote herself." The crowd murmured, then erupted. "What is she doing?" someone shouted. Linda looked like she wanted to sink into the floor. Raymond stood, his voice low but firm. "Vanessa, you owe us an explanation." Vanessa paled, trying to keep her smile. "Those emails were edited, taken out of context. I was just protecting the neighborhood." But no one bought it. Eleanor stood. "You find me for my flower pot, Vanessa, and now you fake complaints?" "Enough." Walter and others nodded. The crowd started booing, demanding a vote, not to repaint my house, but to oust Vanessa. Vanessa slammed her hand on the podium, her voice shrill. "You can't do this. Per HOA policy," but Raymond cut her off. "We can, and we will. I propose a vote to remove you next week." The crowd roared with applause. Vanessa glared at me, her eyes burning, then stormed off the podium, heels clicking like a drum of defeat. I stood there, feeling like I'd won a chess match. But I knew Vanessa wouldn't go quietly. She'd return, with her clipboard or a dirtier trick. I sipped coffee from my to-go mug, muttering, "Try it, Vanessa. I'm waiting." The HOA meeting turned Vanessa Holt from Palm Haven's queen into an outcast, and I knew she had no way back. The leaked emails I exposed revealed her abuse of power, from faking complaints to plotting to cut my Wi-Fi. The neighborhood, from Eleanor and Walter Hayes to those once loyal to Vanessa, now eyed her with suspicion. But I wasn't naive enough to think she'd surrender easily. She was the type to cling to power until her last breath. On the porch, sipping coffee, I gazed at the vibrant parrot on my house and muttered, "You lost, Vanessa. But I know you won't go quietly." The next week, the vote to remove Vanessa took place at the Palm Haven Community Center, and the air was tense as a tightrope. Neighbors packed in, many with phones ready to capture the historic moment. Vanessa appeared, still with her golden hair and sunglasses perched on her head, but her fake smile was gone. She stood at the podium, trying to speak about community benefit, but her voice faltered as the crowd murmured. Raymond Torres, the ex-firefighter now leading the board, stood. "We've seen proof of Vanessa's abuse of power. A vote to remove her is necessary." The results came fast, 5 votes for, 2 abstentions. Vanessa was ousted. She said nothing, just grabbed her clipboard and left the room, heels clicking like a funeral march. The crowd cheered, Eleanor hooped, and I stood there, feeling a weight lift. But the story didn't end. A few days later, a Florida environmental agency truck pulled up to my house. I thought Vanessa was at it again, but it wasn't her. An agent, Carl, explained they'd received a complaint about my house's paint polluting the lake. I showed him my permits and waterproof paint receipts, all up to code. Carl walked around, admired the parrot, and chuckled. "This house is prettier than the park, but we found something else." While investigating, they discovered oil traces near the lake from an unauthorized barbecue party Vanessa hosted last year. She'd gotten a permit but didn't report using an unsafe generator. The agency fined her $8,000 with her name on the party permit. Carl winked. "Say hi to Ms. Holt for me." A week later, a for sale sign appeared in front of Vanessa's beige mansion. Rumors spread fast. She was moving to another neighborhood, likely to reclaim power with a new clipboard. I didn't care where she went, as long as it wasn't Palm Haven. My parrot, now a tourist attraction, made it to CNN with the headline "Parrot House Inspires Freedom in Florida." Tourists snapped photos, kids drew parrots on sidewalks, and neighbors opened up. Eleanor and Walter brought a plate of cookies, thanking me. "You changed the neighborhood, Ethan," Eleanor said, eyes gleaming. Even Linda, who once opposed me, stopped by, sheepishly admitting that parrot, it's not bad. I stood before the house, gazing at the vibrant parrot under the sunset. The craw from the speakers rang out, and passing teens cheered. Palm Haven had changed, no longer a sea of beige under Vanessa's iron grip. But I knew she wasn't the type to vanish without a trace. Nadia called, warning that Vanessa might try suing me for reputational damage. I laughed. Let her try. I've got cameras, permits, and the whole neighborhood as witnesses. Nadia agreed, but told me to stay vigilant. On the porch, sipping coffee, I thought of Sophie. She'd love how this parrot turned the neighborhood into a living canvas. Vanessa lost, and the neighborhood won. But I knew the game wasn't over. She might return, with paperwork or a dirty trick. I shrugged, muttering, "Come on, Vanessa. This house is waiting." The parrot on the wall seemed to wink at me, ready for any battle ahead. With Vanessa Holt gone from Palm Haven, the neighborhood felt unburdened. No more fine letters, no clicking heels or lurking clipboards. The giant parrot on my house wasn't just a personal victory, it became a symbol of freedom, waking the neighborhood from its beige and gray slumber. Neighbors smiled more, kids ran on sidewalks, and I felt a new breeze, as if Sophie were whispering, "You did it, Ethan." On the porch, sipping coffee, I gazed at the radiant parrot under the sunset and muttered, "This is the Palm Haven we always wanted, Sophie." To celebrate the change, the neighborhood decided to hold a parrot festival by Lake Palm Haven, not an official HOA event, but a spontaneous gathering started by Eleanor and Walter Hayes. Raymond Torres, now the new HOA president, sent handwritten invites filled with tiny parrot doodles. "Ethan, we want to use your yard for a lantern release," Raymond said when he stopped by. I laughed. "As long as no one tries painting my house beige." The festival was planned with face-painting booths, a local band, and hundreds of lanterns floating on the lake at sunset, a farewell to Vanessa and a welcome to a new Palm Haven. Festival day was electric. The lake sparkled under a pale blue sky, small boats gathered near the shore, and laughter echoed everywhere. Kids wore parrot-printed t-shirts, running with red and green painted faces. Luna Navarro arrived with Diego and Sam, bringing a small mural for the neighborhood, a flock of parrots flying over the lake. "This is to thank you, Ethan," Luna said, winking. I clapped her shoulder. Thank you for making my crazy idea real. Food stalls brimmed with Eleanor's cookies, Walter's grilled wings, and homemade ice cream from Linda, who smiled more since Vanessa left. As sunset fell, Raymond stood on my lawn, holding a mic. Thank you all for coming, he said, his voice warm. We've been through a strange time, but we got through it together. And thank you, Ethan, for showing us that sometimes a bit of color can change everything. The crowd cheered, and someone handed me a gold-painted plastic badge reading Parrot Night. I held it up, laughing as the neighborhood roared with applause. Then came the best moment, the lantern release. Dozens of glowing paper lanterns floated across the lake, their light reflecting like tiny stars. I stood with Luna, Eleanor, and Walter, watching the scene, my heart light. Palm Haven had changed. Neighbors started painting creatively. One drew flamingos, another palms. The neighborhood was no longer a beige sea, but a living canvas. A new couple, Oliver and Clara Bennett, bought Vanessa's house, bringing a vibrant flower garden and a love for art. They stopped by, asking about the lake's birds, and I knew they'd be great neighbors. On the porch after the festival, I thought of Sophie. She'd love today how Palm Haven found its color. Vanessa lost, and the neighborhood won. But I knew, somewhere, she might be plotting revenge. I shrugged, sipping coffee, muttering, let her try. This parrot's still flying. Under the moonlight, my house glowed, and for the first time in months, I felt peace, at least until the next trouble arrived. Palm Haven was now a living canvas, as if the giant parrot on my house had splashed color across the neighborhood. No more Vanessa Holt, no fine letters or echoing heels. The Parrot Festival marked a new start, with flamingo houses, palm trees, and neighbors' smiles replacing the dull beige sea. I fixed the swing chair, planted sunflowers Sophie loved, and enjoyed uninterrupted mornings. On the porch, sipping coffee, I gazed at the shimmering lake under the sunlight and thought of Sophie. We did it, babe, I muttered, feeling peace like a cool breeze. The new neighbors, Oliver and Clara Bennett, settled in fast. They turned Vanessa's old mansion into a garden of lavender and hummingbirds. Clara stopped by one day, bringing a basket of homegrown tomatoes. Ethan, thank you for the parrot. It made us want to move here, she said, smiling. I smiled back, not mentioning the neighborhood's past as a battlefield over Vanessa. Palm Haven was different now. Raymond Torres led the HOA fairly. No one got fined for flower pots or Christmas lights. Even kids asked me how to build birdhouses, making me wonder if I was becoming the neighborhood's kind old guy. But peace, as I'd learned, never lasted in Palm Haven. One morning, as I stood outside, admiring the radiant parrot and feeding the ducks, my phone buzzed. A text from Raymond flashed. Ethan, know anything about a giant peacock statue going up in the park? I frowned, looking up the hill behind my house, where the community park sat. Through the trees, I glimpsed a steel frame, at least 3 meters tall, with metal bars curving like a peacock's tail. Someone was building something, and I had a feeling it wasn't just public art. I stood there, my coffee cooling in my hand, muttering, no rest for the weary. Vanessa might be gone, but Palm Haven was still a place of surprises. I went inside, opened the toolbox, and started thinking about handling this mysterious peacock, maybe a new speaker with bird calls or a mural near the park. The parrot on my house seemed to wink at me, ready for the next fight. I smirked, setting my coffee down. All right, I said, voice full of defiance. Let's see who's behind this. With the parrot as my guardian, I knew I'd changed Palm Haven forever, but I was also ready for whatever trouble lay ahead. The story, HOA Karen told me my house was too colorful. So I painted it like a giant parrot. Reflects a very real aspect of life in the US today. The struggle between personal freedom and the control of homeowners associations, HOAs, in suburban communities. In the story, Ethan Caldwell faces Vanessa Holt, an overreaching HOA president who tries to force him to repaint his vibrant lemon yellow house because it violates aesthetics. Vanessa's actions, from sending fine letters and calling HOA meetings to faking complaints, mirror reality in many American communities, where HOA rules are often abused to enforce personal tastes, like controlling paint colors, plants, or yard decorations. Ethan, with help from Luna Navarro and neighbors like Eleanor and Walter, turns his house into a giant parrot, not only defying Vanessa, but inspiring the neighborhood to embrace creativity, from flamingo houses to the Parrot Festival. This reflects the American spirit of individualism and community power, where people stand up for their rights. The takeaway: protect your personal freedom with creativity and unity, but always be legally prepared. Ethan didn't just fight back by painting a parrot, a bold artistic move. He used permits, HOA rules, and leaked emails to defeat Vanessa legally. In real-life America, when facing unfair HOA or local regulations, know your rights. Like Ethan studying HOA loopholes. Find allies, as Ethan did with Luna, Eleanor, Walter, and Raymond, because community strength can turn the tide. Finally, turn challenges into opportunities, like Ethan transforming a fine letter into a symbol of freedom, inspiring all of Palm Haven. In American culture, where individualism is prized, creativity and persistence, like the Parrot Festival or Vibrant House, can change not just your home, but the community around you. Subscribe to the channel to follow the journey of vibrant parrots and battles against clipboards like Vanessa Holt's. Thanks for joining Palm Haven, and see you in the next video with new surprises.